There we go. My name is Pierre. I'm the host of today's webinar. And we also have Alexander and Sebastian with us today, who are presenting Quant Office cloud platform that they have been building and developing over the last 16 years. A platform that is used by quant traders to research, build, backtest, and deploy quant trading strategies, not only to the crypto market, but also to the traditional financial markets. So they have been using their experience, they have been gaining in the traditional financial market and started to implement their platform also with centralized crypto exchanges. Today, we're gonna have a look how quant traders are using their platform to build algorithmic trading strategies. And I'm quickly gonna give you a quick overview of our community. We started in 2018 in Berlin. Our focus has always been on technology and innovation, which is focused on the trading and investment industry, or how some people may also call it, digital asset investment industry, just to how people make more informed investment decisions or to support them analyzing the market. Currently, we have a community size of more than 6,800 members across the United States, in Spain, in France, in Germany, in the UK, in Switzerland. We have even a quite big community in East Europe, in Ukraine, and now also in Tbilisi and Singapore. Overall, we have 13 communities that go into these 6,800 members. And we have been organizing a number of events with some of the biggest names in the crypto industry since 2018. So agenda today is straightforward. I'm doing the intro right now. Then we have the platform presentation with Alexander and with Sebastian. At the end, we're gonna have a Q&A. And anyone who isn't on our Telegram channel yet, we're posting lots of market analysis, macro analysis, on-chain analysis. So if anyone is interested in following the markets, feel free to join the channel or ask any questions related to investing, trading, taxes, where's the best jurisdiction to live in as a crypto investor. You find our community here under t.me at Crypto Traders International. All right, then that's it with my presentation. Now, Sebastian or Alexander, if you like, you can take over now the presentation.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Thank you for joining us. I will now give you a very brief overview of Deltix, EPAM, and our products. It will be brief, as I know you're keen to see Alexandra's demo of the product itself. Both mine and Alexandra's PowerPoint presentations will be available from Pierre after the webinar. Deltix stands for Development Laboratory for Technology and Informatics. As you can see from this slide, we have dedicated the last 16 years to developing licensing and supporting systems that support the quant alpha cycle. In other words, aggregate data, analyze, and act. We have developed our systems and products solely for institutional financial services firms. We were acquired, as you can see, 19 months ago by EPAM, whom we have known and been working with on some joint initiatives for many years. We had 39 staff at that time, 89 of which were engineers. We now have the same number of staff in a dedicated Deltix unit within EPAM. Here is some information and facts about EPAM, which has had huge earnings growth in the last year. You can see that on our corporate website. A snapshot is 19% in Q1 this year and 39% in Q2 this year. As you can see, EPAM operates in many different sectors. We're in the financial services sector, obviously. And here is information about Deltix, or the real-time computing lab, as we're known within EPAM. As you can see, we concentrate on systematic or quant systems for institutional financial services clients. The Quant Office Cloud product, which Alexandra is about to show you, is a new variation of the Quant Office suite, which has been designed for individuals and small firms and comes with the benefit of 16 years of product development and enhancements. This slide shows the Quant Alpha cycle and how it maps onto our products. Alexandra will take you through this in more detail later. Another slide showing more detail. Here it's worth me pointing out that Timebase can store any type of data, obviously prices, level 1, level 2, level 3, etc., but also macroeconomic calendars, digital sentiment, newsfeed extracts, earnings, and other company financial data. And for energy producers and traders, many of which we support, weather information, pipeline news, inventory statistics, retail statistics, etc., etc. This data can all be consumed by the strategies that you will write in our Quant Office product, either as historic data when performing research, strategy development, backtesting and optimization runs, or as real-time data directly from feeds when performing simulated or paper trading, or even live production trading. I'm going to skip through the next few slides. You can get them from Pierre later if you wish. These are use cases, our value, more bullet points about the value of Deltix, how we service and support our clients and systems. And here is a list of our products. And the remaining slides give more detail on a subset of these products that I felt may be of interest to this audience. I will scroll through them quickly so that they appear in the recording and any viewers can then access them via the pause control. Timebase, Quant Office, where you develop your strategies, do the back testing, optimization, execution server, Quant server, where the strategies are posted before they're moved to or deployed before they are connected to execution server. And that's the end. Thank you.
So to summarize, as I understand the life cycle of quant trading strategies and especially also in the institutional space, is that quants, have an idea, have a concept of a strategy. They then look at the data to validate their idea. So they need to ingest data from different data sources into a database or a data warehouse, then be able to analyze the data in order to find correlations. Then afterwards, once they validated the idea, build the logic of the algorithm and develop the algorithm, backtest that on historical market data and simulate that, as well as then at some point, once the performance shows sufficient results in the tests, deploy that live into the market. So I think for some, it's some people in the audience, they're not fully aware of this process, or how Quant Office or the other products that you guys provide, covering these different steps in this life cycle, from idea and concept to the end of deploying strategies to live trading on the crypto exchange. So I just wanted to make sure that the audience understands that that you guys are able to cover the entire life cycle from idea and concept until the end of deploying strategies to the exchange.
Yes, I mean, data aggregation, data storage, streaming data to your research suite, QuantOffice, and then you start to look at it. And there are a lot of methods and functions and libraries that you can use to quickly help you analyze that data, clean it and get information. And then you start developing your strategies and looking at them as they perform during backtests. So at this point, I think a lot of the points you brought up will become automatically answered as Alexandre does his demo. So I think it's
excellent.
Move on to that, and then
yes.
At the end, if there's anything that's not clear or missing, we can cover it later.
Hello, everybody. Yeah, and Sebastian was right. Our product indeed tried to cover all aspects required to start from gathering idea, prototyping, and backtesting, and going live. And in a nutshell, QuantOffice Cloud is a platform for algorithmic trading using strategies developed in Python language, and we support more than 14 cryptocurrency exchanges, and accordingly support all major cryptocurrency. And here we highlight all major features on QuantOffice, and here as support of different execution modes, like backtesting with multiple simulation mode, live trading using simulated paper account, and live trading on real accounts. And QuantOffice contains quite rich mass libraries, which is a separate product called RTMass, but here is bundled with QuantOffice, and here is a rich set of monitoring tools required for live trading, and our product provide a risk rule engine which protect live trading as well. And yeah, here's a highlight of our main features of product. And now let me show briefly architecture of QuantOffice Cloud. This is a diagram of QuantOffice Cloud, and in the center is a strategy server, which is a container for execution of Python strategies in backtesting and live mode. On right side is Timebase, which is a high-performance time series database. There is aggregator and data collectors, which collect live data from cryptocurrency and save them into Timebase. Here is execution server, which primary role is routing and processing of orders from strategies to exchanges. In addition to that, it provide simulation of exchange and live trading using paper account. And on left side is a set of GUI tools, which is intended for configuring of environment, monitoring, execution, and reporting. This is all is required for real life trading. And now let's go to QuantOffice itself. So after login, you will see such a page which displays links to all application of QuantOffice Cloud. As you see, there is quite a lot of different tools, and main of which is QuantOffice and strategy monitor. But of course, we will start with configuring of our setup, and for that purpose, we will use domain configurator. Domain configurator is a utility intended for managing of trading universe, setup of data connector, setup of trading connector, and so on. Behind the universe configurator is so-called security master database maintained by Deltix. This database contains metadata for all supported instrument, and this tool allows just to choose required subset of instrument and copy it into our local environment. So process is quite straightforward. You choose exchange you are going to use. You choose a subset of instruments you need by selecting and adding them to your setup. So just to start backtesting of sample strategy, usually it's sufficient, as our product as part of setup provides a set of historical data which immediately available for backtesting. But of course, for live mode, we will have to set up data connector, and to do that, we go to data connectors page. We select required exchange, review parameters of data connector, press create, and after that we immediately start recording of live data from exchange into our time series database. So it's worth to note we support loading of market depth data such way that it can be used in advanced mode of simulation. And setup of trading connectors is same. You choose exchange, set up parameters, and press create. So only significant difference comparing to data connectors is that you will have to specify API keys to your real trading account. During this demo, we will use Exchange Simulator, so we won't set up our trading connector. Okay, now let's go to Timebase. Timebase, as I said, is a high-performance time series database intended for storing and processing of time series data. In our case, it will be market data. And here we look at Timebase Administrator tool, which allows us to view the data stored in Timebase. It supports visualization of data on different natures. It can be level 2 data, it can be best bid offer data, it can be bar data, and so as Pierre mentioned, it can be useful to gather some ideas by just looking at the data presented here. So we set up a recording of data from Kraken, and here we see a sample of here we see 5 minutes of Bitcoin USD order book, which shows us 10 levels. So other example is BBO data. Other example is bar data, and except of graphical presentation, of course, we can show data in tabular format, and here we can look at every message at every record received from market and introspect every number. So here is sample of incremental message which represent update of single level of order book on Kraken. Okay, now let's go to QuantOffice itself. So QuantOffice Studio is built on top of Jupyter Hub, which is quite popular tool among researchers of different area, including financial sector. And by default, we ship with QuantOffice set of Python packages. Here we see it. For example, here's a bunch of strategies. Here's a bunch of libraries which are useful for development of trading algorithm. And here's a set of utility scripts which allow to load data, transform data, and do other things. And we will start with looking at our utility, and we will load into our database sample bunch of historical data from Kraken. As I told, with the product, we give access to 3 years of historical data from 3 years historical price data from Kraken, and the script allows to load it from master time series database into local instance of database which belongs to our server. And in the script, we specify a source of data, which kind of data we will use, which instrument we want to copy, and time range of data we will replicate. We just run the script, and so we establish a connection to remote server and copy a bunch of data to our database. So, and after completion of replication, we will able to backtest our sample strategy. So let's wait a second. And of course, after loading of data, always makes sense to go to time base and make sure that data are loaded. And so charting tool, which I showed a few minutes ago, quite useful for that. So let's go again to QuantOffice and open sample strategy. So we will use in this demo simple EMA crossover strategy. And so what is QuantOffice strategy? It's a set of Python files, main of which is portfolio executor and instrument executor. Portfolio executor contains definition of data subscriptions which used by strategy. It contains definition of input parameters, and frequently it contains portfolio level trading logic. And the instrument executor is a main file with trading logic specific for every single instrument. So since I mentioned already that that QuantOffice follows event-driven programming model, and so instrument executor file usually contains set of event handlers which and which determines how our strategy work. Here is sample of on init event, which contains logic of initialization of strategy. Here is sample of on-bar close event, which processes market data. Here is sample of on-bar status event, which react to event related to orders like execution of order, cancellation of order, or something like this. Other sample of events is position change. And logic of crossover strategy is quite simple. Here we initialize our indicators. Here we populate indicators with price data, track lines, and send buy or sell signals when lines are cross up or down. And in order to backtest strategy, we use separate script, call it backtesting notebook, and this file contains just parameters of backtesting of strategy, and it doesn't contain any trading logic. So, for example, here we have a list of instruments we will backtest. Here's a set of streams which contains price data, bar size, start time of backtesting, and time of testing, size of window of indicators, and so on. To run strategy, we execute notebook, and so what happens right now? So our framework build strategy, deploys it to strategy server, and start processing of market data and generation of different kinds of market event which simulate real-time behavior. Let's wait a second. So after completion of backtesting, we will go to Backtest Explorer tool, which allows us to review results of backtesting of strategy. What show us this tool? First of all, it shows us charts with timeline representing process of backtesting of strategies. On this chart, we see price data, trading signals, indicators lines, and of course, P&L lines. And this is available for every instrument, for every moment of backtesting of strategy. Another useful chart is a portfolio level chart, which shows aggregated P&L for whole strategy. Except of that, we have a bunch of report, probably main of which is performance report, which shows major performance statistics of execution of strategy. For example, here's our profit loss, here's information ratio, here's profit per trade measured in basis points, and so on. So performance reports show accumulated statistics for whole strategy. Except of that, we have a report individual for every instruments used during backtesting, and more detailed information like every single execution for every instrument, and so on. And let me highlight one interesting thing. Probably you noticed that for Bitcoin USD, we have quite optimistic P&L curve, which could be not realistic for such a simple strategy. And our reporting tools allow us to quite easily and quickly identify why this happens. So if we look for performance report, we will notice that profit per share for per trade for this strategy and is quite small. And if you look at execution report, we see that commissions are 0. Of course, in real life trading for on cryptocurrency exchanges, most of traders will have to pay commissions for every single trade. And our backtest simulator allows to try how strategy will work when traders will have to pay commissions. So in my sample, I intentionally disabled commission. Now I will try to enable it and run backtesting again. And then we will look at a completely different picture, which will be much more realistic that we see it before. Meanwhile, while we're waiting result of backtesting, let me show one more tool which we ship with Quantoffice. It's called Theia. This is a web-based integrated development environment, and it's of course necessary for development of complex trading strategy. It contains feature like debugging, syntax highlighting, code completion, and so on. Okay, we get result of backtesting with commission, and we see completely different picture. So instead of making money, we see unfortunately huge loss. So, and it makes sense to note that while we here use Backtest Explorer to analyze result of backtesting, Jupyter and Python has a lot of built-in functionality which allows to build custom analysis and visualization of result of backtesting. And if someone will lack some feature out of the box, OpenSoft platform allow to implement virtually anything a user need. Okay, now let's say we get a satisfactory result of backtesting, and we want to run strategy live. For that purpose, we use another notebook file which contains parameters of live mode of execution of strategy. It's quite similar to backtesting, but main different is deployment mode, and in given case we will run strategy instead of historical data on live market data stream. And same way we say that we will use Kraken data, we will use 3 instruments, and one important feature is order destination. So in my case, we will forward order to simulator, which is part of our execution server. To run strategy, we have to just execute this notebook, and so now Quantoffice Cloud will build strategy one more time and deploy it to our strategy server, but in live mode. And what is useful to know that Quantoffice strategy allowed to run same strategy without any modification in live mode, same as in backtesting. So strategy is deployed, and here in Notebook, we only see its status and single button, which allows just to stop it. And for real monitoring of strategy, we use another tool called strategy monitor. So what is a strategy server monitor? Its main purpose is monitoring, controlling of strategies running live mode, and it allows us to look at strategy positions, which display as P&Ls, size, market prices, cost of position, market value, and so on. In addition to that, we can look at the active orders if they are. We can look at strategy charts, which are quite similar to what we saw in backtesting mode, but of course it shows timeline of real-time execution. Here we see every single order, and here we see P&L curve of strategy running live. In addition to that, we can see history of execution, history of orders, and so on. And what else? And the strategy server monitor allows not only to view how strategy work, but it allows also to affect behavior of strategy. For example, if strategy has any active orders, strategy server monitor allows user to cancel order or, for example, send another order, close existing position, undeploy strategy, or just hold trading of running strategy. Except of strategy monitor, we have a bunch of other monitoring tools which are required for live trading. For example, here we have execution server monitor, which allows us to track connectivity to Exchange and set up a lot of risk rule, which allows to protect real trading. We have Grafana monitors, which shows overall health of our trading server. We have Graylog, which allows to keep full logging and history of server, and which is useful in case of troubleshooting of different cases. And of course, we support email notification in case of alerts of different types. Okay, and this is end of main part of presentation of QuantOffice. Please visit our site, where there's a lot of useful information about our product. Here you can find system requirements. Here you can find a list of supported connections and our subscription plan. So our product is available in two editions. One is basic edition, which costs $200 per month. Another is professional edition, which costs $500 per month. And main difference between these editions is availability of monitoring tools and the different set of instrument and venues supported for live trading. And one feature which is available for professional edition is machine learning package, which I will try to describe in a couple of minute. But what I want to know is that at the moment we are in stage of open beta testing, and we are willing to give free access to full features of our product to several members of crypto traders community. Okay, and now if I have a couple of minutes, let me highlight our machine learning package. So we developed a quite simple machine learning package which can be used in our trading strategies. And to prove usefulness of machine learning in our domain, we implemented approach proposed by Lopez de Prada. So briefly, idea is following. We take existing strategy, backtest it, and get trades and label them as profitable and non-profitable, and then use these trades and other customizable set of factors as input for training of machine learning model. And then trained model we use in order to predict profitability of signals generated by strategy. And if prediction is positive, we forward, we allow order to be executed on market, and if prediction is negative, we block that order. And then we did a bunch of experiments with momentum-based strategy, and we found that indeed can improve performance of strategy if we train a model on past 30 days and then use this model during trading of next day, and with retraining of that model every day. And let me try to show result in Quant Office. I will go to our machine learning package and sample strategy, and here's a result of backtesting strategy without machine learning. And let's look at performance results of strategy. And what we see here, we see that our strategy make some money. So information ratio of strategy is 1.3, and average profit per share is around 45 basis points. And another sample of backtesting with applying of machine learning model. And what we see here, that profit of strategy is similar, but information ratio is 1.6, and average profit per share is around 60 basis points. And during this backtesting, again, we used zero commission, and if we will enable commissions, we will see a huge difference. Strategy with applying of machine learning will make in real much more money comparing to strategy which doesn't use machine learning. Okay, guys, this is end of my part of presentation, and we can switch to our question answer section.
Yes. While I one second, there's I think already one from George Clark. Oh, he thanks. You probably see the message already as well. He's very interested in the platform, and I guess he would be also very interested to take part in the beta testing of the platform. So he's asking, quick question: is the bar type Renko point and figure built-in available for backtesting with indicators?
Cannot answer precisely right now, but we have all information about the indicators available on our site, and also we have a site called rtmass.net. So as I told, at the moment, this library is part of QuantOffice Cloud, and here's a full list of supported indicator and other mass functions.
Jordi Tarok, if I pronounce it correctly, is asking, what kind of data can you work with other than price data? So I guess, and by the way, Alexander and Sebastian had already a few calls with me before the event, so I had a look at the platform as well. And I already know there's I think it's a time-based database, right, where you guys are able to pull in different data sources. Maybe you can say a few words about that.
Alex, do you want to handle that one?
Yeah, so answered short, yes. Our time series database is quite customizable. It allows to load any kind of data. It can be high frequency data, it can be low frequency data, and so model is customizable, and Python language we presented here and API presented here allows to load this data into time-base, and of course we use them during backtesting of strategies, and not only.
Typical data sources, I think, is like social media data, news data, market price data, right? As you mentioned.
First of all,
yes, go ahead.
Time-base is intended for storing of numeric data, but short text messages is also possible to keep and use here.
You guys also support unstructured data for machine learning or deep learning algorithm training?
I'm not sure that time-base is best tool for this, but just keep in mind that our platform is open, and Python language allows to use any kind of data, and it's quite easily to integrate them into our existing infrastructure.
Okay, so it's extendable. That's good to know. I hope that is answering Jordi's question. If not, please add more. Then there's a question from Tom. Can you discuss any differences? Can you discuss any differences that you have found with connecting to crypto exchanges as compared to traditional markets? Does reliability of data and trading APIs in crypto exchanges cause any issues? I'm sure there's a lot you guys can talk about here.
Alex, do you want to answer that, or shall I?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah. Well, in the beginning, about now 3.5 years ago, when a couple of our clients who were trading futures in Chicago asked us to add crypto connectors, we thought that would be fairly easy because we've got connectors to many exchanges, you know, CME, Eurex, ICE, Trayport, etc., and many market data providers. And unfortunately, what we discovered quite early on was that the exchanges didn't have particularly robust APIs. They weren't well documented, and even worse, they didn't always perform. So you would send them a message, they would accept it, and then nothing would happen, or you wouldn't get any acknowledgement, or get an acknowledgement and you wouldn't get a fill or a cancellation or whatever. And so there were multiple problems, as you've alluded to in your question. And over the years, we've worked around those problems and put robust code in our connectors to deal with most of the common problems we get from sending orders and receiving acknowledgements. And there are a lot of alerts and cutouts so that the strategy will halt, or you will be alerted under certain conditions when things are not operating properly.
Is it possible to build in fail-safe mechanisms? I mean, like the others you mentioned, but you know.
Well, yes, there will be conditions where you can halt trading, and you can either write that in the strategy or you can set it up in the risk rules.
Awesome. Then I have another question here from George Clark. Is it possible to brute force parameters walk forward for strategy simulation?
Alex,
do you want to answer that? It's about backtesting.
Yes, of course, it's possible. Here in our script, we use Python code to execute backtesting of strategies. That code is quite simple. And here we, for example, specify input parameters of strategy directly here. But simple Python code allows to run multiple simulations with different parameters and with different steps and so on. Yeah, the answer is yes, that's possible.
Okay, then a question from Takunori Arashi. What kind of machine learning algorithm training data is used for machine learning package? Simple regression analysis or neural networks? What is the expected training data input, Taku?
Here in our machine learning package, we by default support a few different machine learning models. For example, random forest classifier, logistic regression, KNN neighborhood classifier, and it can be neural network and any feature which is available for Python language. It can be TensorFlow, anything else what is popular right now.
Great. With that, we already there is another question or a suggestion from George. Would be good to add components like visual strategy generator for non-programmer to build strategy quicker. But George, as Sebastian said earlier, the platform is more focused towards experienced quants. I think there are already platforms out in the market that have sort of a visual strategy builder. And I think it's a good point. We might do an event with some of these visual strategy builder platforms that are out there. However, if Daltix has it on the roadmap, Sebastian, maybe you can give a quick feedback about that.
Alex, your product manager for Quant Office Cloud, is that on the roadmap?
So at the moment, we don't have it in cloud edition of Quant Office Visual Tool for development of strategy, but we have such thing in our desktop edition, which allows to design strategy visually. And we don't have answer at the moment. We will support this feature, but somewhere it's quite possible. And probably you heard about so-called Copilot tool from Microsoft, which allows to code to write code by putting just your idea in text comment, and I believe this tool will be quite quickly publicly available, and probably it will be integrated in Visual Studio Code, and which we will use here is part of our development studio. So who knows, maybe one day we will have this.
Okay, and it's just another question that came in from Taku. Is what kind of trading strategies are pre-installed in your platform? So I'm assuming he is more touching on the templates that are already available in your platform, which helps coders or quants to get the boots off the ground faster with your platform.
Yeah, at the moment we have quite few strategies, and mostly they're intended for familiarization with our product. Is a simple crossover, Bollinger Band, simple arbitrage strategy, and for machine learning we implemented yet another strategy called non-linear crossover, which is based on document published by CMA organization.
But here is just another question: exchange arbitrage or triangular arbitrage?
Here's quite simple exchange arbitrage.
But that wouldn't stop you writing a triangular arbitrage strategy.
Yeah, so these are just the templates that are available in the platform.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I mean, there's basically limitless possibilities which kind of strategies you can write on the platform. You're not limited by the templates there. They're just there to help you getting familiarized with the platform.
That's correct.
Good. Then I have actually a few questions. Oh no, there's another one. Is custom bar PNF type pre-built with the platform? Not sure what that means, but Alexander or Sebastian?
I don't believe we have that. It's kind of more usual with retail type FX platforms and crypto platforms.
Okay, then I would like to ask some questions now, which probably also interesting for the audience. Which programming languages you support? I mean, you already mentioned during the presentation that you support Python, but are there other programming languages that you guys support?
Quantovis Cloud Edition support at the moment only Python language.
Okay, but there's also another product.
Yeah, the main Quantoffice product suite supports both C# and Python, and you can write your own Java execution strategies in the Java container on execution server.
So if you have people among the audience with more sophisticated needs, they can also look at other products in your portfolio.
Yes, it's a lot more expensive than the figures that Alexandra quoted earlier.
That's expectable. Okay, then a very simple one. Could you guys? I'm not 100% sure if you already mentioned that in the presentation, but do you have an overview of exchanges you are currently connected to, crypto exchanges? I think I've seen a figure between 35 to 40 exchanges that you're already connected.
It's more like 53 at the moment, I think. It was the last time.
Yeah, in our site we have a document with whole list of supported exchanges, and I believe it covers most of top-rated exchanges.
Could we quickly touch on like the efforts you guys undertake to to reduce latencies on your trade execution side between between your platform and crypto exchanges? or what the latencies are on average?
I believe in our case that most impact will for latency will introduce network communication of the product. So it will be measured in real life. It will be measured in some milliseconds, depending
I'm sure, but
this distance to exchange from your server.
It depends where you host your server and which exchange you're trading on, and there's usually a bit of consultancy with the clients saying which exchange or exchanges they mainly want to do their trading on, the best place to place their server according to the trading they want to do.
Would that option already be possible in the cloud version of Quant Office, that they could choose where they could place the server?
My understanding is as long as they spin up a AWS server of the right specification, that it can be in any of AWS data centers. Is that correct, Alex?
Yeah, that's correct.
Then another question by Taku. Can I add external pip packages into this platform? For example, CCXT, TensorFlow.
Yes, of course, and by default we don't bundle TensorFlow in our packaging. In my script, for example, here I just install packages which I need for my strategies.
Then there's another question from another George, not to mix up with, not to mix up the different Georges here. Are you planning to connect to Crypto.com as well? Are you already connected to that exchange?
If it's not on the list, I don't think it's currently on the roadmap. I mean, we've got a lot of exchanges on the list, and it's expensive for us to build the connectors and to maintain them. So it really depends on client demand.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Then there's another question here. So the exchange connectors you built, are they only for a spot market, or could people also, or could users also trade futures on these different
yes,
exchanges?
Futures and perpetuals. It depends from exchange to exchange. Our full list, which I'll send you after the webinar, says which instrument classes are supported on each exchange.
Excellent. Then I have a few more questions. So for instance, let's assume there is an exchange that is not connected yet with your platform, a crypto exchange, but someone would like to use the back testing and simulation and the features of building the strategy in your platform. Would it be possible to import historical data or data from a different exchange just to do the back tests and the simulation on your platform?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, Alex alluded earlier to all the utilities we supply for importing data.
Excellent. And would it be possible then as well to export these strategies to run them individually on another server that which already has a connection, for instance, to an exchange that you guys are not connected to?
So what you're saying is, would a Python strategy written in Quant Office run in another system that wasn't Quant Office?
Yeah, I know the question is more if the strategy is exportable to be traded on another exchange that is not connected yet to your platform, but was, for instance, back tested and simulated on the data of this exchange.
Well, the code could obviously be exported, but there are a whole lot of hooks and calls in that code that will be relevant only to Quant Office.
Got Gotcha. Okay. So there would need to be some changes to the code necessary to run it in different environments. Okay, then I don't have any further questions. Oh, right. There's one from John that just was flying in. Please discuss your cybersecurity protection, particularly regarding encrypted key storage, customer code separation, infiltration detection, auditing, certification, etc.
These servers are client servers. Those disciplines are up to the client. So the client spins up his own AWS server according to our specification and controls it. It's not software as a service.
Then I would be also through with all questions from my side. And last but not least, it would be great to know for the audience how they could get in touch with you guys if they would be interested in taking part in your beta testing period. And, you know, if there are further questions after the webinar.
Right. There was one other question about a strategy for quarterly futures. I mean, a strategy for quarterly futures could easily be written using our framework, but we don't actually deliver a strategy for trading those at the moment.
Okay, that's what I was asking about earlier. If you guys would also be able to instead spot also trade futures, but quarterly futures are not possible to trade yet.
Well, no, you could trade them. You could trade them, but there's not a strategy that does that automatically. So you'd have to write the strategy using our framework.
Yeah, that's okay. All right, excellent.
Alex, answering Pierre's last question, the easiest way for people who are interested in beta testing or even licensing the product is through the website, isn't it?
Yes, contacts is available on our site. Please visit quantoffice.cloud and just send a request. And you can send directly to me or Sebastian, I believe, and we will react as soon as possible.
Excellent. And if anyone from that is already part of my community or you know, can't find contact details, feel free to contact me as well, and I'll put you guys in touch with Alexander and Sebastian. Great. Was a very insightful presentation today. Alexander and Sebastian, very thankful that you took the time today to present your platform to our community. And I'm hoping more people will sign up for your beta testing period, because I do think that's a quite unique platform you guys have built for the crypto market, and especially with your track record in the traditional financial space. So thanks a lot for your time.
Well, thank you. It's been a pleasure, and thank you all for joining us. It's been an hour and a half nearly, so thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you very much, Pierre, and thank you, community, for joining us.
Great. Thank you. Goodbye, and thank you, Pierre, for organizing it.
Thanks a lot, and I will send out the presentations and slides after the event in a few days for everyone who has missed something. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Bye. Yeah.